betrayal, greed, and a plan so poorly executed that it shocked the nation. In 1927, Ruth Snyder and Judd Gray conspired to commit the perfect murder, only to become infamous for one of the most sensational crimes of the 20th century. But what led a housewife and a lingerie salesman to commit such a brutal act? And how did their crime lead to one of the most haunting images in true crime history? Welcome back to Spooky Crime Time, where we uncover history's most chilling true crime cases. And today we dive into the shocking case of Ruth Snyder and Judd Gray, a tale of deception, desperation, and a crime gone horribly wrong. Ruth Snyder appeared to be the perfect 1920s housewife, married to Albert Snyder, a respectable magazine editor. But behind closed doors, Ruth's life was anything but idyllic. She found her husband controlling and emotionally distant, and soon she sought comfort elsewhere. Enter Judd Gray, a mild-mannered lingerie salesman and a married man himself. The two began a torrid affair, one that quickly escalated into something far more sinister. Ruth and Judd's passion turned deadly when Ruth proposed a plan. They would kill Albert Snyder and collect on his hefty life insurance policy, a policy that Ruth had secretly forced him to sign, one that conveniently included a double indemnity clause, doubling the payout in case of accidental death. On the night of March 19, 1927, Ruth and Judd put their plan into action. Albert Snyder was fast asleep in his home in Queens, New York, when the attack began. Judd Gray, hesitant and trembling, bashed Albert over the head with the sash weight, while Ruth strangled him with picture wire. To stage a break-in, they tied Ruth up and overturned furniture, hoping to mislead investigators. But their scheme fell apart almost instantly. The police were suspicious from the start. The burglary seemed too staged, and Ruth's inconsistent statements only made things worse. Within hours, detectives uncovered evidence that pointed directly at Ruth and Judd: motel receipts, love letters, and a trail of careless mistakes that unraveled their alibi. Both Ruth and Judd were arrested and charged with murder. Their trial became a media spectacle, drawing national attention. Newspapers dubbed it the dumbbell murder, due to the sheer incompetence of their crime. Judd Gray, in a desperate attempt to save himself, turned against Ruth, claiming she was the mastermind behind the murder. Ruth, in turn, painted Judd as the true killer. The jury, however, saw through their defenses. Both were convicted and sentenced to death. On January 12, 1928, Ruth Snyder was executed in the electric chair at Sing Sing prison, in a moment that would go down in true crime history. A hidden camera captured the exact moment of her execution, creating one of the most haunting and controversial images ever published. The Snyder-Gray case remains one of the most infamous crimes of the early 20th century. But what makes it so unforgettable? The brutality, the foolishness, or the shocking final image of Ruth Snyder's execution? A crime of passion or desperation? Some argue Ruth acted out of desperation, trapped in a loveless marriage. Others believe she was driven by pure greed. Judd Gray, a victim or willing accomplice. His defense claimed he was manipulated by Ruth, yet his active participation tells a different story. The role of the media. This case was one of the first to show how sensationalized true crime could become, setting a precedent for decades to come. Regardless of the motives, the crime and its aftermath became a grim lesson in how passionate affair can turn into a deadly conspiracy. Ruth Snyder and Judd Gray's ill-fated plan left behind a legacy of scandal, betrayal, and one of the most infamous photographs in crime history. Was this a crime of love, greed, or pure recklessness? And how much did the media play a role in their downfall? What do you think? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're loving true crime stories, check out our other love episodes. And as always, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a terrifying tale from Spooky Crime Time.